And it looks like I'm about to make another pop culture reference.
For sure, if we fade, then it's a lie. But you know we are the sun, and we'll walk
This is Lost Books for episode 11 entitled Happily Ever After. This week we'll discuss the notion of all you need is love, get to see some of our favorite dead losties, and find out what made chills go down my spine. Wow, wowie, wow. I cannot describe this episode any better. The magnitude of its importance in explaining things is unparalleled. And Desmond saying, I have to show them something at the end? Chills. This episode is in my top 5 of favorite of all time. We received a backroom view into the true nature of the Flash Sideways boom world. We learned what made Desmond so special. We had an insight into Miss Hawking's abilities. And we may have an answer as to what Juliet saw as she lay dying at the beginning of this season. So many theories, so little time. If only I had a DeLorean. We pick up in the Dud world with Zoe keeping an eye on Desmond after he wakes up from an IV sedation. Apparently Whitmore took Desmond straight from the hospital. What the heck was Penny and little Charlie told? Holy crap, Desmond's beating the crap out of Whitmore. Desmond swore he would never come back and Whitmore's a jerk for bringing him. But you know what? The island isn't done with him yet. Again, the island, not Jacob, just like my theory about them being separate entities. Whitmore wants the test moved up to today, but it wasn't scheduled until tomorrow. I know when it's scheduled. I love scheduled. The test is going to generate an electromagnetic field. This is getting really hairy real quick. The bunny's name is Angstrom, which is a measure of electromagnetism. Will the bunny time travel? Oh, a giant electromagnet is inside of that fenced-in area. Of course, because we always just have one lying around. Holy crap, the guy that was testing the magnet just got fried. The one guy asks Desmond if he has any keys or metal on him, and the other one replies, of course he doesn't. Why is it obvious that he wouldn't have it on him? Whitmore says that after this is over, Desmond will have to make a sacrifice to the island. My reaction was Desmond's reaction, which was, what sacrifice have you ever had to make? Whitmore explains that he had to sacrifice his son for the sake of the island, and how otherwise, everything will be gone. According to Whitmore, Desmond is the only one who has survived the catastrophic electromagnetic event, and that is what makes him so special. The machine's turned on, and Desmond looks like he's about to disintegrate, and the camera pans back to show Desmond looking at an Oceanic Airlines video wall. We're in the boom world! This is insane! Why does he wake up in Los Angeles? Why didn't Desmond wake up on the plane? But did you notice when the camera panned back that Desmond was staring at his reflection? These mirror images that every character has looked at in the boom world reflect the simple idea of through the looking glass. The alternative characters are looking at themselves as if remembering something about their original selves from the Dud world, with Desmond acting as a direct link from the Dud world to the boom world. This proves one thing. The timelines are running parallel, coexisting, and connected rather than unconnected and at separate points in time. Once again, we're at an episode that spends the vast majority of the time in one timeline. So let's do this. Boom world, where Desmond is told where the bags are by Hurley. They're at Carousel 4. He also has a nice conversation with Claire, and he tells her that it's going to be a boy. Desmond walks up to his limo driver, a man named George Minkowski. George Minkowski died on the freighter in Season 4 when his mind went all berserk. He was the one who helped Desmond and Saeed during The Constant. George offers Desmond female companionship after he says that he notices that he's not wearing a wedding ring. Not having a wedding ring is later emphasized because it's mentioned that Desmond is not tied down by anything in terms of family. This doesn't really make much sense considering that in the season premiere, Desmond was seen wearing a wedding ring on the airplane. So, continuity error? Or on purpose? Desmond works in an office. He walks in and his boss is Charles Whitmore. Dun dun dun! In this reality, Charles and Desmond are very fond of each other and they share a really awkward hug. Later on we see Desmond admiring the sailboat that Charles has, signifying the sailboat that he used to travel around the world to try and win a race to prove to Charles Whitmore that he was worth something. Also in the background there's a picture of a scale holding a black and white stone. Notice that in the painting the scales were balanced. What does this mean? I don't know. In this world, Widmore's son, who we're all assuming is Daniel Faraday, has been experimenting with forms of music instead of physics. He wants to combine classical music with modern rock. Ever heard of a band named Drive Shaft? Apparently Charlie was on his way to Los Angeles to play an event of Charles Widmore's wife, who we all assume is Eloise Hawkins. And since Charlie got arrested on a drug charge, Desmond has to be his babysitter. In this reality, Desmond and Widmore share a drink of McCutcheon's, whereas in the Dud world, Widmore said that that one shot of McCutcheon's was worth more than all of Desmond. Nothing's too good for you, he says in this time. Desmond goes to the police station where Sawyer works to go pick up Charlie, who apparently has a death wish. He's just walking out in front of all this traffic. Hey, I'm walking here! So just like on the second half of season 3, Desmond has to protect Charlie. They share a drink at a bar and Charlie gets right to the point. Is Desmond happy? Has he ever been in love? Apparently, Charlie fell in love on the plane. Then he begins to tell the story as to how. He talks about how he overdosed trying to hide the fact that he was carrying drugs. He says he was choking in the bathroom, and then he saw this beautiful, blonde woman, who we all assume is Claire. He was happy. He was in love. They were together. I'm assuming that he's having glimpses of he and Claire on the island. However, he must not have made it as far as his own death, so when he was about to be engulfed by her, moved towards her, he woke up on the plane after Jack resuscitated him. That's why he told Jack he should have let him die. Maybe that's why he has a death wish, because he's trying to get back to see Claire again. He felt, for the first time in his life, true love. Desmond tells Charlie that he has a choice, and Charlie responds with a very poetic statement. Doesn't really seem like a choice. You know, Desmond still says the word brother, like he still went to the monastery in this reality. That's where he picked up that phrase. They're in the car driving, and we hear "You All Everybody," which brings about some heartfelt and nostalgic moments. Charlie seems to not be enjoying his musical success, as if he finally got what he wanted, but he's now having some buyer's remorse. Theory of the week to come in a bit. So in wanting to show Desmond something, Charlie forces the car into the harbor, and now Charlie's going to drown. Again! Charlie puts his hand on the glass window just like at the end of season 3, and we see the words, "Not Penny's boat." But this time, Desmond saves him. While in the hospital, Desmond has to get an MRI, which is like a less intense version of the giant electromagnetic magnet that we saw at the beginning of this episode. The guy mentions that Desmond will need the button. Obviously, this is a throwback to season 2 when Desmond was in the hatch and had to push the button every 108 minutes in order to save the world. This time, the button is a panic button to stop the machine. Then, for a brief, fleeting moment in time, Desmond sees what it would have been like to be married to Penny. It's one of the saddest, happiest moments ever. Desmond needs to talk to Charlie. After briefly talking with Jack, Charlie makes a run for it from the hospital. Running hospital gown wearing Charlie would be a great action figure. Why are you accosting a man in a dressing gown? None of this matters. All that matters is that we felt it. Charlie suggests he start looking for Penny. Desmond goes to meet the boss's wife to explain to her why Charlie's not going to show up, so he walks up to Eloise Hawking. I mean Eloise Widmore. As Desmond is walking away, he hears a list of names being read aloud. I'm just going to take a break from the recap real quick just to point out that one of the names being read aloud was Marky. Mary Markey is one of the editors of Lost. And I think it's awesome that she and I share a last name, and it's mentioned on the show. However, Penny's name was mentioned on that list. Penny Milton. Who's Milton? Eloise gets a hold of Desmond and tells him that searching is a violation. Eloise knows something. She says that Desmond isn't ready yet. Ready for what? What will make him ready? She mentions how that in life he's finally attained what he's always wanted, Charles Widmore's approval. After speaking with Eloise, I have one simple question. How much knowledge of the Dud world does she have? How does she know all this? Does she have a direct connection with her alternative self, or does she regularly go back and forth between mindsets? Here we go. Daniel Faraday, I mean Widmore. Anyway, Daniel talks to Desmond. Why in the Dud world are we having all these different last names? You know what makes this conversation awesome? Daniel's wearing a tie. Do you believe in love at first sight? Daniel saw his love walking through the museum, eating a chocolate bar. Obviously, we're to assume that this is Charlotte. The same night after he saw his true love, Daniel began to write down some scientific physics equations. Quantum mechanics. He has no idea what it means, but apparently seeing Charlotte allowed him to have some kind of connection for a fleeting moment to the dud world Daniel Faraday. Imagine something terrible is about to happen, and huge amounts of energy need to be released, like setting off a nuclear bomb. What if this wasn't supposed to be our lives? What if we changed things? Daniel doesn't want to set off a bomb. He thinks he already did. The reason why they wanted to set off the bomb on the island was to fix all of the bad things that had happened. They believed that their lives were bad and they wanted to change their courses. However, what if, after creating this alternative boom world, their alternative selves decide that this life wasn't for them and try to change it back? It goes with the old saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. And once they're there, they want to get back to the original side, where they started. Desmond believes that Penny is nothing more than an idea. No, she's Daniel's half-sister. Half? Different mothers, for sure. But who is this other woman? Daniel tells Desmond where to find Penny. She's running in the same stadium that we found Desmond running in Season 2. Desmond walks up to her, shakes her hand, and no. No. Why would they break away at that moment? Desmond wakes up in the dud world. He's apparently calm now. According to Widmore and Zoe and all them, it's only been a few seconds. But apparently now he understands. He is on board with the mission. Whatever Desmond knows he has to do, I really hope they let us know soon. A lot of things can happen in 20 minutes. Saeed comes in, does some fancy legwork, and kills a guy. Fantastic. He's come to take Desmond, and apparently Desmond's all about going with him. What if this was the sacrifice that Widmore was talking about? We think the episode is over, but alternative Desmond wakes up in the boom world after fainting, and in one of the cutest moments ever, Desmond asks Penny out. No matter the reality, love prevails. And again, when you think the episode is over, it's not! For some reason, Desmond wants the manifest to Oceanic Flight 815. What does he want it for? Desmond just wants to show them something. Chills ran through my body. The major question is, in the name of love, what sacrifice will Desmond make to the island? Message board chatter. First part of message board chatter is also going to go along with my theory of the week, so let's combine the two. The major thing on the message boards that so many people are talking about is the idea that our original characters in the dud world had love and then lost it. In the alternative timeline, the boom world, the flash sideways, our characters never had the love. And some are only watching from a distance. The entire series, the entire storyline, comes down to one single concise statement. It is better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. In the dud world, Sawyer had Juliet, loved her, and then lost her. Saeed loved Nadia and then lost her. Hurley loved Libby and then lost her. Claire loved Charlie and then lost them. Daniel loved Charlotte and both of them were lost. Ben loved his daughter and then lost her. Jack even loved Kate and lost her time and time again. But in the boom world, none of these characters have ever had the type of love that they had in the original timeline. None of them are truly happy. Saeed was so upset over the fact that he only had Nadia for 8 months before she died. But in the boom world, he never had her. In the boom world, Sawyer was asked if he wanted to die alone. But in the dud world, at least he had that short amount of time with Juliet. And Ben, in the boom world, never had the joy of knowing what it was like to have a daughter. In this alternative flash sideways boom world, they all have something that they thought they wanted, but they never truly have what they needed, and that was love. In the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Jim Carrey's character decides halfway through getting his mind erased that he wants to keep those memories of Clementine. He would rather have the good and the bad than nothing at all. What if the characters in the boom flash sideways world decide that they want, even for a brief fleeting moment, the love that they could have felt in our original timeline, and thus that is their motivation for changing things back to what they were. Okay, this is gonna... Let me do this again. I got a message from a guy named David who reminded me of the conversation between the two Portuguese guys in that Arctic Outlook post at the end of Season 2 when they briefly saw the island for a moment before calling Penny to let her know what they found. The two of them were playing chess and having a conversation that eerily reminds you of the Man in Black and Jacob. It's your turn. I'm taking my time. It's all a part of the plan. Yes, if your plan is to lose. This paraphrased conversation could be a huge giveaway about the true nature of what's going on the island 3 years before we ever met Jacob or the Man in Black. Next week's episode is entitled, Everybody Loves Hugo. I love Hugo. Obviously, this is going to be a Hurley episode. And if we're lucky, we'll get to see the wonderful actress who plays Hurley's mom. Hey, you guys don't think that my glasses make me look too geeky, do you? I mean, any more than usual.